start talking about how awesome you are,
Yeah.
you know? And then one of the guys, he looks at me and he goes, where does it say that in the Bible? And I'm like, what does it say what? And he says, where does it say that Christians have to feed the homeless? And then I gave him the Bruce Willis, like, what the fuck look at him? And then
in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. We are finally in the studio. Now, if the studio looks a little familiar to you, if you're watching this on the video side, it's because this is the same studio.
The dudes
Yep.
behind the food.
Same dudes behind the food studio. So I'm back here. I just moved into the new spot. And let me tell you something, man. Already about to throw fists with the neighbors, you pieces of shit. I'll tell you this, man. Look, when you guys move so much, you definitely get a feel for like what a shitty and like a good landlord is.
Yeah.
So the current place that I live right now, or that I lived in before, literally just a week ago, they were probably the best landlords I've ever had, and some of the nicest neighborhood I've ever lived in.
Right.
Everybody knows each other's first and last name. They say good morning. They watch after your place if you leave on vacation.
Right.
They'll watch your plans for you. It's kind of crazy. Like it's one of those neighbors that you see on TV.
Right.
Right.
So you walk down the street, hey, Mr. Soderbergh.
Yeah, like no, straight up like that. So now let's fast forward to the new place that I move into. All Chinese people.
It's a different dynamic.
It's a very, and look, we're not talking about Chinese Americans. We're talking about recent immigrant Chinese people, which is, this place is a little cheaper, a lot cheaper actually. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm so used to like a friendly dynamic. And, when you're an immigrant Chinese person, you kind of just mind your own business.
Yeah.
Like that's typically the stereotype that you have with Asian people is that they always just mind their own business, whether it's a good or bad thing. So the first day that I move in, I see a few people with their kids or whatnot. I'm moving in. I'm like, hi, my name is David. I'm your new neighbor. And they just look at me and they just walk by. Bro.
Why are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm not used to that type of shit. I'm like, okay, maybe that's just them. And so I see this other older lady and I'm like, hi. She just stares at me and just walks right by me again.
Oh, gosh.
Like, okay, this is a different dynamic here. So the day that I move in, or the first day that I start to move in, you're not supposed to park your car in front of the garage because it's a really narrow space.
Mm-hmm.
There's, fire signs everywhere. So there's the person in front of me constantly parks their car in the front. And our landlord, who I fucking hate already, by the way, said that you're not supposed to park there or you'll get your car towed. So, but I told him, hey, we're moving things in, so we're going to have to park there temporarily. He's going to go, that's fine. So there's a neighbor already pissed me off. So they park their car there. I park my car there. I'm only going to park it there for like 3 or 4 minutes just to unload and then move my car away.
Mm-hmm.
So this neighbor comes down and he wants to get his car past us, right? Even though this other car, he's parked their car there for 3 fucking hours. It's not even supposed to be there.
Yeah.
He clearly sees me moving my shit. So you could already tell when somebody assumes that you don't speak English, right? So in the whole neighborhood, and I understand because the majority of the people in the neighborhood don't speak English.
Yeah.
So the guy comes up. And by the way, there's 2 exits. He doesn't have to exit this way. He could just exit the other fucking way.
Right.
Because he clearly sees me moving in. And so the guy comes up, he goes, hello, like that. And by the way, it's 100 degrees like in LA now.
Yeah.
I'm already irritated as fuck. I'm pissed as shit. He goes, hello.
You got swamp ass because it's fucking sweaty. Yeah.
I'm irritated. And I look at it, I'm like, I already know that tone. You assume I don't speak English, right? And so I look at him and he goes, can't park car here.
Oh, God. He does the caveman talk.
Can't park car here. And so,
no park here.
Exactly. So, me being the jackass that I am, I'm already getting fucking angry. And then, of course, I go from angry to I'm going to make the funniest situation out of this. And I go, why? Why me no park here? All right. And he's, I was like, yeah, I speak fucking English, dude.
God.
And he goes, you don't see me moving in my stuff right now? This car has been here for 3 hours. So why the fuck are you yelling at me? And the guy freezes.
Yeah,
I was like, so what's the fucking problem? And I'm like, listen, I'm your new neighbor. You probably shouldn't talk to me like that. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, I can move the car. You don't have to talk to me. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. It's just a lot of people park their car here. I was like, I understand, but you off the jump started yelling at me.
Yeah.
I was like, Doc, I just moved in. You can't wait 3 minutes. Or maybe if you would have just talked to me and said like, hey, I need to get my car through here, I would have just moved. You doing this whole waving your hand in my fucking face, like 5 inches from my fucking face, is not going to help us get along. The guy's dead silent.
No Asian person has talked to me for longer than 15 seconds or at all.
So this guy is fucking dead quiet. He's not saying anything. I was like, listen, I want to be a good neighbor to you because we're going to be here for at least a year.
Yeah.
But I don't appreciate you doing that. And on top of that, man, you could see there's another exit on the other side.
Yeah.
Even if this is inconvenient for you right now, you could have just left on the other
He
side.
doesn't want to go in reverse.
Exactly. Doesn't even apologize. He goes, okay, I'll just wait for 4 or 5 minutes. I'm like, cool. I was like, so we good? He's like, yeah, I'll just wait. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because I'm being super combative. I want a fucking apology.
Yeah.
I want a fucking apology. So he goes, no, I'm sorry. He goes, that's my bad. I was like, no. I want an I'm sorry. Because like, listen, straight up right now, I'm actually fucking pissed. So once again, quiet looking at me. He goes, all right, I'm sorry. I was like, cool. I got you back as your neighbor. My name is David. Whatever you need, just let me know. But next time, just don't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen him since. I think he's like scared of me now.
Avoiding you.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Man, talking about being a good neighbor, man, I've had this experience last week, actually. You know, if you remember back in college, there's this thing called like campus ministry, right? And those people are, we've talked about it before, like campus ministry people who like want to preach or like talk to people about Jesus on campus and stuff. Like they are, what do you call it? Relentless, right? They won't take no for an answer. So before in the past, like these kids would come up to me and be like, hey, do you want to join our Bible study? And be like, nah, it's all right. And it's like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
Lord, I lift your name on.
Hey, stop vaping.
Fucking, no. So, but this one time I had lost my AirPods. So I had to wear my, the big ones. What are they called?
The Beats by the over the head
Apple ones, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, they're over the ears. I'm clearly just minding my own business. And these two kids are walking by me and he tapped me on the shoulder straight up.
I don't like that.
And then they're like, oh, and I have noise canceling on. So I take my headphones out. I'm like, can I help you? They're like, hey, we're on our way to a Bible study. Do you want to come with us? And I was like, nah. And they're like, oh, I mean, why not? You know? And so I'm
why
like,
not?
I'm the wrong guy. That's what I said.
Yeah.
You caught me at a wrong time and I'm not the right person. And they're like, oh, well, why not? They're not taking no for an answer, right? So I'm like, I'm an apostate. And they're like, well, what's an apostate? So I'm like, I used to be a believer, but now I'm not anymore, right? And then they go, that's perfect. That's exactly why you should come to our Bible study.
You know what's already annoying? It's like, hey, listen, you as somebody who is supposed to be an apostle, right? So you're trying to get me closer to Christ. I literally said I'm an apostate and you don't know what the fuck that is?
Yeah.
Are you out of your mind?
It's like, so yeah, I mean, they're not taking no for an answer. And they're like, that's exactly why you should come. And I was like, no, that's exactly why I shouldn't, because I'm not going to have a good time there, man. Like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm like, I know the Bible, man. I don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then once again, they're like, but that's why you should come. Like this goes on, like, and I'm like taking on the challenge. Now, I made a New Year's resolution this year that I would stop using my Bible knowledge to shit on other Christians. I fucking flicked that shit out the window. And I was like, look, man, like I used to be in ministry for 10 years. I used to be a missionary, right? I did all that shit, man. I just don't believe it anymore like you do, okay? And they're like, hey, once again, that's why you should come to our Bible study. And so I ramped it up. I was like, look, man, when I came back from these missions and I saw the way American Christians behave, like where you don't want to feed the poor, you don't want to help the sick, you don't want to help the addicted, I thought it was just all bullshit because why the fuck am I doing that? And I start cussing, right? And I'm like, so why would I want to be in a Bible study with you guys? Do you do that? You know, all I see you guys doing is asking people to come to Bible study. You know, you haven't even told me how awesome Jesus is yet.
Yeah.
You know, you just start talking about how awesome you are.
Yeah.
You know? And then one of the guys, he looks at me and he goes, where does it say that in the Bible? And I'm like, what does it say what? And he says, where does it say that Christians have to feed the homeless? And then I gave him the Bruce Willis, like, what the fuck look at him. And then the guy standing next to him elbowed him. And then I was like, I had asked, are you being like sarcastic or do you not know? And he's like, no, I want to know. Where does it say that in the Bible? In my head, I want to be like, you want me to go to Bible study with you? And you don't fucking know that shit?
Yeah.
But I just said, Matthew 25 says that when we die, we're going to get judged by God. And he's going to ask us, hey, when I was hungry, why didn't you feed me? When I was sick, why didn't you take care of me?
This guy's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, when I was naked, why didn't you clothe me? I'm fucking reciting this thing. And then we're going to say, well, Jesus, when did you ask us to do that? He says, every time you looked at the least of these and you ignored them, you did that to me.
Ooh.
He's essentially saying, when you look into the eyes of the broken and the homeless, you should be seeing Jesus behind their eyes and you would love on them like as if Jesus lives in them. And I'm like, and I don't see that in you, you know? And I don't fucking want to do that shit because Christians who claim they're Christians don't do that shit.
Just like him.
Yeah. And literally in the Bible, Jesus doesn't say who goes to hell and where except here. If you deny these people, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was like, and if I go to your Bible study, I'm going to go there and talk shit about you guys in my experience right now. I'm going to shit on everyone in that fucking room. I'm going to, interrupt and give my fucking opinions on this. All right? You don't want me there. And then they finally relented.
Wow.
Because I had to shit on them like that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'll see you guys in hell. By the way, I said this too. I'm going to go on a podcast and I'm going to talk shit about both of you guys. I said that. And they're like, okay. And they walked away.
Well, this is the problem, right? And you'll see a lot of YouTube videos and YouTube shorts that kind of do this where they expose. Okay. And, from a non-religious standpoint, right? One of the hardest things about I think being a part of like a Christian community is that there's so many people that are so diehard for Christ without knowing the Bible.
Yes.
Right?
Like, why are you doing this?
That is the frustrating part, right? That's why, like, even though like I attend church casually, right? And we've spoken about this where I do it because obviously as a believer, I'm not exactly the exemplar.
Yeah.
I'm not an exemplar person to represent the religion, right? But then maybe it's because I grew up going to church my whole life that it fulfills a certain part that I need, right? And that's just a whole separate topic. But for a lot of people out there who are going out to preach about God, but you know nothing about the religion, you are going to get fucking ripped apart.
Yeah.
And you're seeing this a lot. So for example, you say what you want about a lot of Muslim people, right? But when I meet somebody who is like a devout Muslim, dude, they know the Quran back and forth, inside and out.
They're about it.
They are about it. And I actually seldom meet a lot of Christians who do that.
Yeah.
And so they'll try to, and you can find clips on this online, which I don't really like per se because they tend to cut out the whole conversation. They only put out stuff that makes them look good.
Yeah.
But either way, like they're trying to combat somebody who knows their religion inside and out when they have a very lackadaisical understanding of the religion that they're trying to defend. And this is what happens. So somebody in this case, they come out and they say, because originally what you did was you opposed their kindness and they're used to being kind and having that reciprocated back to them.
Yeah.
So this individual didn't get that. So immediately what does he do? He actually throws out Christianity and he goes straight to anger.
Mm.
Where does it say that in the Bible?
Right.
And then now that he got his response back, you didn't get an apology. You didn't say, oh, maybe I need to research this again. He just goes, you know what? This guy's a fucking crazy person.
Yeah.
They walk away. But literally the worst example of a religion that you're trying to get somebody to convert to, which is a problem. And I had this a lot in college campuses. You know, we've talked about how there was a group called Korean Christian Crusaders for Christ, right? First of all, shorten that shit up.
Yeah, KCCC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're always Korean fobs too.
Yeah,
I'm from a K, a triple C. I love Jesus. But they would always have these arbitrary rules, right? No touching, no kissing, no holding hands. You can't have a girlfriend or boyfriend until you're a sophomore or a junior in college.
Policing what you post on social media.
Like, what is this bullshit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to do that, you better be a clear example of the religion, because if not, I'm going to call you out on your bullshit.
I mean, that's the problem with today's evangelism, let's say, like proselytizing and like reaching out to people. They're not going out to like say, hey, this is how awesome Jesus is. Hey, this is what Jesus can do for your life. They're saying, look at how awesome we are. Look at how cool we are.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be part of us. And you want to leave your sinful, and then so they judge you for your sinfulness. Oh my God. So this happened last Sunday too. Once again, broke my fucking New Year's resolution. On Sunday, I went to church. After church, I wasn't doing shit. So I was like, I'm going to go watch Mission Impossible. So I'm by myself. And so I go to the Chinese theater because I love that theater. And so that's Hollywood Boulevard. So there's all these like tourists and stuff. And the Chinese theaters is where they have all those stars put their handprints and footprints on the cement. But right in front of the theater, there's a group of these men, you know, on the microphone screaming with their signs and pickets, like calling everyone sinners and like how God hates homosexuals and all that. And then I always just ignore them, you know? Like I went to the anime con and they were out there too. Any major sporting event, they'll be out there, right? Just ignore them. But for some reason, because maybe I had time, I witnessed them just fucking verbally abuse this Muslim couple, right? Because they were just standing there watching them. And then he went on the mic like, who are you? What are you guys doing here? What do you believe? And then, I mean, I can't hear them, but on the mic I hear, Muhammad's a liar. Muhammad's a fake. You're a sinner. And something just ticked in me. And I went to that Muslim couple. And then I was like, hey, I just came from church and I'm just so sorry about these people.
Yeah.
Right? And then that guy started yelling at me, he's a liar. He is a sinner. Jesus is not in him. He is the liar. He's not a Christian. And then I went off. Mind you, this, like I said, Hollywood Boulevard, there's like hundreds of people walking around. And I started screaming at the top of my lungs at them about their judgment. And they're the fucking liars. Nobody's fucking listening to you on the shit. Yeah. And I just assumed like, you're probably divorced or single. Or so you hate women, you hate all gays, you blame everything else for your problems. I'm screaming this.
Yeah.
Right. And then the guy changes mics with someone else. And then he starts yelling. And then it's time like, for the movie.
My throat is parched.
Yeah.
Tag team.
well, movie's about to start. I just turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
But then I honestly was a little confused as to how I reacted. But then in a sense, I really felt like that Muslim couple actually felt thankful for me to actually be like, hey, please don't listen to these people, you know? Yeah. And then it just makes me fucking sick. Like, just so you know, everyone else there, like when you say, oh, my church doesn't do that. Hey, you guys are under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
And if you walk down the street and you see those people and you don't say anything about how effective that shit is, or ineffective rather, then you're a fucking coward too.
Dog, it's... Did you see that video clip of that lady who was screaming at a college campus about like getting your dick sucked? She was like...
I might have.
And she was like, the devil's gonna come. You're gonna meet a lady and she's going to put her mouth on your penis. And then everyone goes,
cheering, right? Yeah, okay, I did see that one.
If you buy her one margarita, she will spread her legs. If you buy her 2 margaritas, she will pounce right on your penis. After 3 margaritas, she will grab your penis and put it in her mouth. 4 margaritas. 4. She will grab your penis and ram it right up her anus.
What happens after that?
2, 3, 4, 5. She will strap it on and take you.
yeah! She's gonna use her vagina and sit on your cock. And then people are,
Oh
she
my
doesn't understand.
God.
Like everybody loves this shit.
Yeah.
And I don't think she fully understood what she was doing.
They thought they were like, amen, sister.
Yeah. Dog, that's one of the funniest things ever. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's so many. I think that before you go ahead and you wear this badge of whatever religion that you're following, right? You do have to understand that once you put yourself out there like that, now you leave yourself up to judgment, right? You are now like you're in the forefront of the representation of that religion, right?
Yeah.
So if you see that as a Christian and you see somebody screaming at somebody who's Muslim, right? Or just doing things out of anger and like casting their stones, right? You should probably say something, right? Or if this is what you're truly about, right? Because that's super hard to see. I mean, obviously, when you see like every gay pride parade, there's always going to be that one group of people picketing, right? They're always screaming like sodomites will go to hell, blah, 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 blah,
God
blah.
hates F words.
Yeah, all that other stuff, right? And they're usually drowned out by clearly hundreds of thousands of people who are obviously against what they do. So that I think that's kind of like nip in the bud. But to watch that's kind of hard. You know what I mean? Like I definitely probably would have like stepped in and apologized for them. And if that guy screamed in my face, I probably wouldn't have screamed because I'm just too tired.
Yeah.
But you know, I can understand from a point. It's like when you're just so sick of it, you just snap.
I had the energy that day.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll give it up to the Episcopalians, the Episcopal, whatever. But they go to pride parades with big like "I'm sorry" signs. Like I'm sorry. Like your father did this. I'm sorry that I judged you. I'm sorry that we judged you. And then, so you can see there's videos and like photos like of gay people going to them and giving them hugs and like having a cry. Like, and that is the true representation of the gospel. That is a redemption of your relationship with these people. Like, and that's something that we need. But like I said, Christians see what those guys are doing and they don't speak up because there's like, I'm not them. It's like, but they claim you are them. So what do you have to say, you know?
Dog, I've definitely gone in like a rabbit hole of watching some of the weirdest Christian YouTube shorts. One of my favorite ones of all time is the guy that goes up on stage and he's just, I believe in Christ and I'm not gay anymore. I don't like men anymore.
Turn around and tell those people. Tell them. I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women. I said women. I'm not gay. I would not date a man. I would not carry a purse. I would not put on makeup. I will love.
I am delivered. That fool is so gay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's still like on social media saying, all you haters talking about my hair. But he's saying it so sassy. It's like, stop lying to yourself, man.
Y'all think I'm gay and shit, but I'm not gay. I swear to God, I'm not gay. Like, y'all for real right now? You think I'm gay? I'm delivered. I'm like, bro, the fucking sass coming out of you is unreal. That shit looks so weird. So, you know, we had a producer and she told me this story that was fucking nuts. So her father apparently was a very, very famous like gospel pastor or some shit like that. I don't know what it is exactly, but he's very well known. And I think you could look him up. I did at the time. I don't remember his name or anything, but either way. So her obviously being gay was a sin. She actually went to like sexuality reformation camp.
Oh, the gay therapy, conversion therapy.
Yes, so she went through like gay therapy conversion, which I've only heard of, but I actually never met somebody who actually went through it. Now, clearly didn't work because she is gay as fuck.
Yeah.
Right? So she tells me that kids would go to these camps during like gay conversion therapy or whatever, whatnot, and they would go willingly because it's just a bunch of places. It's a place where everything, so they could fuck.
Yeah.
So they would go to this like gay conversion therapy camp and they would just fuck each other's brains out.
Yeah.
Through this whole thing. So it's like, what the fuck were you thinking? Of course that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That would happen during church retreats.
There's stories.
Dude, church retreats were fucking nuts. Dude, so in my church, there was a guy, I fucking hate this dude. He was a church leader, and he actually ended up hooking up with one of the students.
Dear God.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
And so he was at the time, I think, 19, and the girl was 16. So she was underage, and he's obviously, a full adult. And it was a fucking debacle, dude. It's like, dog, why the fuck would you do that? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
But anybody who has like this position of power, especially when it's like a pretty girl, these scumbags are going to use that shit.
Yeah.
Right? They use their, religion to get a little closer. They're like, you know what? Jesus is inside you, and so am I. let me show you. And so they actually hooked up and they smashed. And it was like a whole dramatic thing in our fucking church.
Yeah.
But this would happen at the church a lot. And I'm not, for those of you who are Christian and you hear these type of things, it's not to say that I'm hating on Christianity itself, but there are bad things that happen and you should speak up on it.
Yeah. It's not just like the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing it in the Southern Baptist Church too. Like they're getting flamed because they have a history of hiding sexual abuse and spiritual abuse too, right? Like, and it's happening like right now. They're having a bunch of people just left that denomination.
Dude, I don't know how many times I've heard of the story where the pastor ended up sleeping with like the Korean pianist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how often did that happen? That happened in so many churches where somehow like the piano lady is always hooking up with the pastor.
Dude, so when I got back from one of my missions, usually I'd come stop by LA before I went back home to Washington. And then it was just so happened that weekend there was a wedding. So they invited me to come because the youth pastor was getting married. So, okay, I show up and I don't know anybody there. It's just like my cousin's church. And my cousin's telling me, he's like, yeah, this wedding's a little weird, actually. It's like, because the youth pastor is like 30 and he's marrying a 20-year-old, right? But it was like, she used to be one of the youth group kids.
That's grooming, dude.
Yeah.
That's straight up
Precisely.
grooming.
And so I went to a wedding that I had no idea about of a fucking grooming victim.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God.
It's so
weird.
fucking weird. Like, it's weird how people think that that's okay. It's like, well, he was there for me. Like, of course he was there for you. He wanted to be inside you, bitch.
He manipulated the shit out of you,
Yeah,
dude.
like at your lowest point. And that's where a lot of people come to religion, right? It's like they're at a certain point in their life where they feel that something is missing. Right. And you'll find a lot of people who convert to Christianity or whether it's Buddhism or whatever religion, they're at a certain point in their life where they need something to be answered that they haven't been able to answer. They're vulnerable. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have these people in power and leadership that come in and they show them this feeling or emotion that they haven't felt in years. And that suddenly becomes into a different feeling, right? Like, oh, this person understands me. This person gets me. And it's like, I actually might be attracted to this person. And that person exploits that. It happens all the time. And I call this, we said this on this podcast before, we call it the Church OPPA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He starts playing, his typical Korean Christian chords on the guitar. The girl's like, oh my God, Oppa, you're so cool. It's like, yeah, you should come over to my house for some Bible study.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they start making out. It would happen all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Fucking scumbags.
Like when a girl, because they're in their teens, they're going through puberty, they're having attraction. And yeah, they get attracted to older dudes. Like, seriously, first you gotta rebuke that shit. Then as the fucking leader, you gotta fucking take yourself out of that fucking situation.
Yeah.
First place. Like, even I've wrote a thing where just on Facebook where I was like, hey, I've been bullied a lot and I'm experiencing a bunch of this racist shit right now. So I was like, if anybody else is going through this right now, I'd love to talk and help out. And then there was this 15-year-old girl DMing me, like, hey, I'm doing da da da. And I was like, no, you should talk to this Annie, okay?
Yeah.
You should talk to her. And then I DM'd that, hey, tell this girl to stop talking to me.
Yeah.
And then go talk to her. She's going through some stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Like even high school teachers, you could see they'll just be like, nope, we're not fucking doing that. We're not going there. And then, because you see the teachers who get in fucking trouble, it's like,
Oh, and it would happen a lot too. It's not to say that you can't be there for somebody who's younger, right? But when somebody is like in their teens and they're emotionally vulnerable, those emotions can get mixed up a lot and you will get in trouble, right? Not to say that even on, let's say on the flip side, the person who's in education, like in the educator's position, that they have bad or ill thoughts. But you also have to understand, like as a young teen girl or boy, they're going to be really emotional and they're going to be fucked up. So you could only imagine what's going to happen. I talked about this too, where there was a girl in high school who fell in love with our history teacher. Like she was in love with him.
Yeah.
And so when I asked her like, hey, it was just like a casual conversation. I basically asked her like, oh, who does she like? And, you know, she was being really awkward about it. But when she said the person's name, I was like, that's a teacher.
Yeah.
You know? And so for me, I gave a heads up to that teacher. It's like, hey, like, just to let you know, like the reason why this person's TAing with you is because they're actually in love with you. I know, like, I don't want you to get into trouble. It's weird as fuck. He goes, hey, thanks for letting me know that. And he actually told me thanks for letting me know because it was just so awkward.
Yeah.
He's not dumb because he was actually pretty young. You know, when I look back at it now, he was only, let's say I was like, 16? I think he was like 22, 23.
Yeah.
So he wasn't that much older. So he's not dumb. He knows. And so he's like, he obviously had to kind of navigate around it. He didn't want to make it awkward for her, didn't want to get people involved. So he just kind of had her somewhere else working with somebody else instead. But that's what would happen. So whatever, he was also the teacher that was not, what do you call it? The person who's in charge of a club.
Oh, shit. I have no clue.
Yeah. But, you know, let's say you start like a photography club, right? And then they'll assign a teacher to manage that. So he was also part of that as well. Guess what she does? She signs up for that as well.
So, I didn't know you liked photography.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, you know, for him, he could have gotten in trouble, even though he didn't do anything at all, just because this girl was madly in love with him.
Yeah.
And when you're young and you're super impressionable, like, yeah, I feel like I knew a lot of girls who found older men attractive because they had their shit together. They were either making money, they could drive, they had a car, whatever, and they liked that independence that a man had. And so they would fall in love with these qualities that obviously are attracted to you now because you don't have it when you're a young person, you know?
Man, you go through Reddit too, people tell their stories about how once they graduated, they found out one of their teachers married their classmates.
Dude,
and shit.
Weird as fuck.
Like they'll divorce their fucking wives and abandon their kids to marry this fucking 18-year-old.
The Korean church pianist.
I had a crush on one of my science teachers, biology teachers. I mean, say she was cute. She was the prom queen, and the prom king was Drew Bledsoe, the quarterback.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Drew Bledsoe grew up in Washington. But the thing is, that went away when she started being a fucking bitch, you know, and a terrible teacher. I was like, you know what? I don't like this person at all. Like, I don't care.
I remember, like, teachers were always, like, if you had a good teacher too, they could really shape the way your life would go.
Yeah.
Right? Because I remember, you know, I talked about this on my solo podcast where, you know, I genuinely thought I was dumb as a kid. And there were certain teachers that kind of, I think they kind of knew like I had ADHD.
Yeah.
And so they were a lot more understanding and empathetic, right? Because they could see the good qualities in you that other people can't because you're not traditionally smart in the way that people think you should be.
Yeah.
Right. So whether it's people who could sit still and just, you know, do their work in one go, and they would understand like, oh, this kid just can't do it very well. So those educators were the ones that kind of influenced me in a positive way. And I still keep in contact with them till this day.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can understand like this weird, I think I'm always like wary of people in like in position of power now.
Yeah.
Right. How they speak to me, how they speak to, you know, people that I know, even kids. So like I plan to start having kids hopefully, you know, next year. And now I'm thinking about who are the people that I want around my children. Right. Because I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of acquaintances. There's a lot of acquaintances I do not want around my kids. Like we could drink together, but I don't want you talking to my kids though.
Yeah.
You know, kind of weird.
I think the only positive teacher I could think of was like my 5th grade teacher, where he saw like, because I was an illustrator, I drew a lot. And he went at a parent teacher conference, he was telling them like, hey, I think Edward needs to go to this other school. It's for gifted kids, right? And my parents were like, no. And then I remember they were pissed. They were mad at him for suggesting it. And like, I remember looking at his face and he was in utter disbelief looking at me. And he just felt, I could see how sad he was. He felt bad, you know? And then Subsequently, like I tell all the time, like by the time I was in 7th grade, I had to move to the fucking sticks and the boonies.
Mhm.
And I always tell that story. The first word, like anything this guy said to me was, I hate Japs, right? And then
Welcome home.
yeah. The funny thing is I actually became friends with him later. And then he has like a missing tooth, right? And I was like, how'd you lose that tooth? He's like, oh, in 5th grade, I got drunk off vodka and then
What the fuck?
I rode my bicycle home and then fell in a ditch and my tooth fell out. I was like, you got drunk in 5th grade? He's like, yeah.
What
It's
about
just
you?
shit. Yeah, it's like, I've never touched alcohol at that point.
I think a lot of immigrant Asian parents at the time, and maybe even now, they don't really deal well with somebody telling them that their kid isn't quote unquote normal,
Mhm,
right? Because they
mhm.
have this idea of what a stand-up member in society is and what this kid should be and what their potential is.
Yeah.
And so they think that everything is within their control, right?
Mhm.
So if I tell my kid to do this, this is what they'll do. And if they do this, this is how it'll turn out, which kind of fucks up a lot of young Asian American kids because academically, they would do really well, right? They would get the straight A's, but they wouldn't really intern anywhere. They didn't do any extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
And they're very good on paper. But when it came to being in the workforce, they fucking suck. And they assume that just because they got this degree that they would get a high paying job, and it never worked out that way.
Right.
And that's because that's what their parents told them. They didn't tell them how to like hustle, how to
Yeah.
speak to people, how to get your way into like these positions of power. And so for them, they kind of grow up a little fucked up. So when a teacher comes in and tells them like, hey, your kid might need some special help, they go, are you calling my kid retarded?
Yeah,
It's like, no.
exactly. That's what I think my parents were thinking.
Yeah.
Like school for special kids.
Yeah.
Like special education.
Like they would, like if somebody assessed their child in school and they say, hey, they might have like autistic tendencies, right?
Mhm.
Immediately, no, impossible. You're
Yeah.
not my kid. So instead of thinking of, hey, my kid might need help so they could live their best life, they go, I'm not going to have a dumb kid in my family.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's just the worst thing ever. And I saw this happen a lot. It happened a lot in church where parents wouldn't understand that their kid won't be as smart as this other kid.
Mhm.
It's okay. They'll excel in other things that this other kid can. And you see that a lot in small infants. Some kids, they learn how to speak a lot faster, but then other kids are really good with like building objects and
Yeah.
understanding like spatial stuff that other kid can't do. People are talented in their own different ways. And I think that sometimes with, traditional Asian parents, they only have one marker for what a successful human being is
Yeah.
and what intelligence is. So if it's not straight A's, if it's not getting in trouble at school, then it's like, okay, well, this kid is dumb.
Yeah. My parents pretty much through high school was like, we just give up. We give up on you. Instead of acknowledging
I wish
that
my
I'm
parents would have
different,
gave up.
they were just like, oh, I give up. They say that to me. Like, I'm like, okay, so that's why I just did whatever the fuck I wanted to. But like in high school too, speaking of like good teachers, I don't think anybody, like no teachers actually stood up for me when like clearly I was being bullied or like having racist shit said to me. But the weird thing was when I acted up and I got into fights or I would throw my fucking desk at somebody, or I hit somebody with a chair once too. I never got in trouble. Like now that I'm older, I think that the teachers
Understood.
understood in their meetings, hey, he's getting bullied. So I never got in trouble for these things. Like, so in like a keyboarding class, like, in senior year, you just take some bullshit classes. So I'm just typing and shit. This one kid who transferred from another school because he was what do you call it? A sex offender? Yeah, he sexually assaulted somebody at his old school. So he got
What the
expelled.
fuck?
They sent him to our school. And so
Good move.
Yeah, so everyone already knew that about this kid, and he ends up in our keyboarding class. So I don't know why, but he comes over my shoulder to look at my screen, and I forget what he says, but he's just saying some shit, and his breath smelled so fucking bad, right? And then I had just watched that movie Snatch. So I
Okay.
took a line from there. I was like, holy shit, did you brush your teeth with dog shit this morning? And then he fucking spit in my face. He spit in my fucking face
With that disgusting breath.
with that breath. And so I fucking shoved the shit out of him and I started punching him, right? And then he put his hands up. So I punched him right in the fucking stomach, right? And then immediately I turned around and I grabbed my chair
Yeah.
with the wheels on it. Bam, I fucking hit him, right? And then loud noise. So everyone saw this happening. Everyone's looking at it. And then the teacher comes out from her office. She's like, what's going on?
Did he touch you?
Yeah, but so it was like the optics of it though. She comes in, what's going on? And it's the sex offender and then the Asian kid.
Yeah.
And then he goes, he hit me. He's hitting me with his chair. And I just said, he spit in my face. She goes, oh, nuh-uh. You go to the principal's office. And I was like, fine.
Yeah.
And that kid got expelled.
Of course.
Because it was like one move he made.
Mm-hmm.
If he fucked up once, it was like one of those things. And I think all the teachers didn't want him there either.
Of course,
anyway.
he's a fucking sex offender.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That guy's weird, huh?
It was that weird. I can't believe he fucking spit in my face. But yeah, I mean, I experienced that shit, man. Getting fucking spit on. Like, people throw trash on me. And then, yeah, the desks with the chairs attached.
How is that like an
shit.
immediate response to spit on somebody's fucking face?
Yeah, just because your breath stinks.
Yeah, he's like, I'm French. This is my go-to move.
God damn, you fucking llama. Like, what the hell?
Well, guys, that wraps up this episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. You can catch Ed at Ed Park VP, and you catch Genius Brain every Sundays at 12 p.m. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I know usually it's in the other studio, but once again, that studio is gone. This is the first podcast with another person in like fucking 2 weeks. And it was rough doing a podcast by yourself. I forgot how hard it is to talk to yourself.
Right.
And to do it past like 10 minutes. And so like when I was doing the podcast in the room, I just remember I was like, I'm still talking and it's only been 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You're very self-aware.
You have to get one of those mirror things in front of the lens so you're actually looking at a face at least, right? Yeah.
I remember just sitting in the room and I was like, I feel like such a loser.
Yeah. Like a crazy person. Like
Yeah.
you're
But people enjoyed it. I think they said it was like OG video vibes that they got. But understand, it's actually very difficult to do that for a prolonged period of time.
It's like an uncut vlog.
Yeah, you're kind of just rambling to yourself like a crazy person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like with all these like intricate thoughts that stay in your mind, you're just saying it out loud like literally a crazy person in the street.
Yeah, you need someone to bounce off of.
Exactly. Well, Genius Brain every Sundays at 12 p.m. and we'll see you all next time. Peace.